What's up, guys? It's KB. Make sure you subscribe to the Underground Sports Philadelphia YouTube channel. Click the bell icon down below so you don't miss a single video from us. And thanks for tuning in to another video from Underground Sports Philadelphia. Now let's get into it.
Philadelphia, baby, you're going to love it. Best sports fans in the world. Actually, the worst, but that's what makes them the best.
Welcome back to Top Bins, the show, bringing you all the action from the Premier League and SerieA, England and Italy. I'm your host, Matt, joined by my co-host, Dom. Dom, how are you?
Great, man. Great. Glad to be back, right? Another episode. Took a little, what was it? Hiatus. This one's a little late in the week. Did you and Sarah get to celebrate Valentine's Day?
We did. See, Dom and I are both married, which means working in the evening and doing podcasts instead of Valentine's Day. That's
the couch for the rest of the month.
We call that a business decision. So bring you this late, which is fine because all the European action has wrapped up for the week. So in some ways, it's actually worked in our favor.
Gave us some content.
Gave us some content, something to think about. So yeah, my Valentine's was good. How was your Valentine's Day, Dom? Don't be too graphic.
What do you mean?
Just tell us about dinner. You know, we don't need to know about anything else.
Well, listen, none of that happened. So I'll tell you that. So, I took the day off of work to start off because I had to get work done on my car. So I got to do a lot of things around the house while Monica was at work. So she came home to a clean house and all this. And I had to get a haircut. And then I had to drive. I picked up these cannoli cream filled chocolate covered strawberries for Monica from this bakery in Hamilton. So I'm driving all over South Jersey. I get home with about 15 minutes to spare before she gets home. We got ready. We went out to eat. It was nice.
Hold on. I need to know logistically, how are cannoli cream filled chocolate covered strawberries? Was the cannoli cream inside the strawberry?
So essentially what they do is they cut off the top, all right?
Okay.
Then, they hollow out a little bit of the strawberry. And they're a decent sized strawberry, right?
Yeah.
They hollow a little bit out and then they put the cream in the top or in that little crevice and then it kind of a little bit on the top. Yeah. It's
okay, Don. I mean, you don't have this. How much are we paying for these things? Because here's the thing.
I think it was like $40 for a dozen. Yeah.
Listen, to anyone, this is non-binary advice, okay? Anyone can do this for anyone.
This is true.
The smartest thing you can do, one, is to establish, if you're in a relationship, establish some kind of gift that you can get year on year. It doesn't have to be something big. Mm-hmm. My thing is every Valentine's Day, I make chocolate-covered strawberries. So that's not the only gift. But it is such a nice thing. Go to the grocery store, just buy. They're always on sale. I got a package of strawberries for $2. Buy a bag of what are your favorite chocolate chips. You can go a little bougie if you want to even get like a $6 bag, whatever you want. And you will make like 15 chocolate covered strawberries for like $5. Yep. And I'm telling you, it is a game changer. It's homemade. People are impressed when you tell them that you made chocolate covered strawberries. All you have to do is just melt down some chocolate and dip the strawberries in. I'm telling you, that's the best life advice I can give.
I did this one for Monica. So the first Valentine's Day we spent together, I picked up from the chocolate place in Vineland, actually.
Chocolate on occasion.
That's the one, right? Over on Brewster. Yeah. So they had these chocolate covered blueberry clusters. I picked them up for her the first year. So the second year, I was trying to go all out, but I forgot to put an order in. So guess who went and bought blueberries, bought chocolate, and stood in my mom's kitchen for like an hour and a half. I was putting 3 on a toothpick, and then I was dipping them in the chocolate and laying them out. And then, yeah, dude, I went all out. So she always likes a chocolate covered fruit, whether it's strawberries or blueberries. She sent me this Valentine's Day special menu that the place in Hamilton was doing, and that was the one thing at the bottom. She was like, "Yo, check this out!" But she sent this back in the end of the middle of January, something like that, right?
She knew what she wanted.
So I waited. I waited. I didn't mention it. I hadn't mentioned anything about it for the longest time. And then I put my order in and kind of did it in secret. She thought I was just getting her like something else with the gift. And then taking her out to dinner, I was like, nah, check this out. She came home and she was all stressed out. She had a long day at work. She sat in a bunch of traffic. I showed her that and her mood changed. It was great.
Yeah, I sat in a chocolate store once on Valentine's Day with about like 40 other dudes, and they were selling rose and chocolate covered strawberry packages for like $100. I was like, I gotta figure out a better way. There's gotta be a better way. I gotta tell you, Valentine's Day is one of the most underrated like days of spending. People talk about like Christmas, you know,
dude.
like,
oh my god!
and all that. I'm telling you, Valentine's Day,
Oh my
they
god!
Gouge you. They know that you're
I
desperate.
got killed.
I stopped at ShopRite because I made dinner for us, and
nice.
This is no longer a soccer podcast. We're just talking about Valentine's Day. But I went to. It's just me and Dom catching up. I went to ShopRite, and they had a chocolate covered strawberry station. They had flowers. They had a monitor on the Valentine's cards, like if you wanted help picking out a Valentine's card. And Valentine's cards, by the way, it's like $8 for a card now. What are we doing? It's a piece of paper. Let's not get. Let's just settle down. Okay.
I did not do a card this year.
I'm typically not a card person. My wife is an extreme card person, so that's fine. That's totally cool. It's just for me, if it was up to me, cards I think are. I can take it or leave it.
If you go to buy a card, are you a funny card person? Is that what you tend to gravitate towards? Keep it lighthearted.
I'll even show. I will literally show the card I got my wife on camera. So I typically am funny. The problem, and I'm sure you can relate to this, it is very hard to just find a normal card for your significant other, even not even just for wife. Like, it is impossible. It is always some kind of ordeal. It's always like, listen, if you're into religion, all that, good for you. I'm not. I don't need to tell my wife that I believe she's been blessed by God and that our marriage has been, anointed. Like I don't need all of that. I just want a card that says, "You're great. I love you."
Yep.
So I got this.
Beautiful.
And
that's perfect.
I just want to block what I wrote, because it's very from the heart. And there you go.
Yes, that is my lane. That's the kind of lane that I go down.
And then I did get her one from our cats.
Aw, that's nice.
I added a little S on the end. So yeah, that was my Valentine's Day adventure.
Hey, entertain everybody. I have to leave and come back real quick to fix my camera. So,
I hope everyone had a good Valentine's. Everyone had a good Valentine's Day. And if there's one thing this podcast has ever taught you is make your own chocolate covered strawberries, and I would say even steer clear of roses. I think roses are a little overdone. I think you can find just about any other flower, and your significant other will appreciate it.
Oh man, Monica's a big rose person.
That's what I mean, roses are fine. It's just
1-800. Oh no, I'm not gonna. No, hold up. No free promo there. No. I can't say that.
I mean, you very much did give a free promo, but that's.
Oh, dude, last minute talk about price gouging. Jesus.
Yeah, you probably paid $75 for those things, huh?
I got a vase too with it, so it rounded it up. The extra $25.
Oh yeah, you're putting $110 down on some flowers.
Hey, listen. We're married men. We know how much the flowers cost.
Don't we know? All right, let's talk some soccer. I think that some of the biggest stuff, something we've been tracking all season, but it's starting to become much more realistic and I think grounded in with us, is what's going to happen next season with the Champions League. Champions League format is expanding next year, and there are going to be 2 of the European leagues. The top 2 by coefficient are going to get an additional Champions League spot. So 5th place in 2 of the best European leagues are going to have a additional Champions League team now.
But how do they constitute the 2 leagues? I've always been confused on that. Like, because
how the coefficient works.
Yeah, like how did they figure out which leagues get that extra?
So the coefficient works based off of wins within those European competitions, right? So you get certain points for group stage participation just by being in the group stage of the Champions League, right? There are points you get from that. For qualifying for the round of 16, you get points. You get and points for going to the quarterfinals, semifinals, winning the final, whatever. But you also get points for the entire ladder, and they're not necessarily scaled either. You know, it's not like Champions League points count 3 times more. It's actually really beneficial if you have teams through each Champions League, Europa Conference League.
Sort of like how Italy had it last European season.
Right. So, and right now, Italy actually has the highest coefficient, partly for that reason. So here's the updated rankings today for the extra Champions League. And also there's Europa League, Europa Conference League, additional placements too as a part of this. But the big prize is obviously Champions League. So right now, Italy will be having an additional Champions League spot. So whoever finishes 5th right now as it stands in Italy will qualify and have that Champions League spot. Right now, Germany moved ahead of England. England's actually at a little bit of a disadvantage because they don't have very many teams participating in this round. They only have, City and Arsenal in the Champions League. Liverpool qualified. West Ham qualified like past that extra qualifying stage that those competitions have. So they're actually not going to be able to gain as many points as Germany does, who are sitting in second. England is just behind them, and then Spain. England still has some of the highest chances if you look at like the predictions and the numbers on who's going to finish in those top 2. And Italy and Germany are about even for those. So really, Italy, Germany, England seem the most likely right now by coefficient points to finish, with that 5th place now again. And that's a huge draw. I mean, for an Italian club especially, if you can make it to those Champions League places and find your way. For England too, right? We know that making to European competition is so important. Right now, that would be Aston Villa qualifying for Champions League in England. In Italy right now, 5th spot.
Bologna.
Yeah, but that would be Bologna. But, Roma is right there, right? Lazio, Fiorentina are right in, like, those are clubs as well that could obviously really benefit from that. So that's something I think we really want to keep an eye on as we move through these competitions. Is it's going to matter, what countries and how far they go. And, again, it's also going to matter if you have representation all down the ladder in, those teams. I think it's going to be a huge story and something that we're going to focus on over the final weeks and is going to have impacts going into next year, right? Because if you're in the Champions League, that gives you that bonus and that revenue, maybe allows you to make some, better signings over the summer. And it's just a huge advantage. And I'm not particularly looking forward to the expanded format in the Champions League, but this is at least giving us some intrigue.
It almost sounds like the expanded format is sort of maybe contributing to a change of, which league takes the throne as the best league in the world. But obviously if there's more teams that go to Champions League in a specific country, you're going to see other players make moves, players that are at the end of their contracts or going for free transfers and stuff. They're going to sign for these clubs that have the extra, or they're going to sign in leagues for clubs that have, extra Champions League. That's the goal of most professional footballers, right? Is, hey, I want to go win a Champions League. There's like, hey, I want to win the World Cup, obviously, but like Champions League is one of the biggest trophies there is. And, it kind of seems like, for example, right, let's say Italy is one of those top 2 teams, right? I mean, last year they showed that they have a lot of strong teams that can compete in Europe in all 3 of the, theaters, right? So it sort of kind of shows like, hey, you guys have been sleeping on this league. Look, we have this extra team now. We're bringing more quality to the league. It gives another team top dollar, and it also expands, the other competition. So there's more teams just in that league playing in Europe in general. You know what I mean? So like, it really is a nice injection when TV rights really rules everything right now. And kind of shows why the Premier League has a kind of like a stranglehold on the market, right? They have these lucrative TV deals, way more than the deals that are in Spain even. And if you don't have a good investor in the team, it is what it is, right? I think that having this extra boost of competition and parity with Europe money coming to at least an extra team in the league, it can really set the league apart from the ones who don't even get the opportunity, right? There's only 2 leagues that get to do it.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think too, we're going to get to a point too where teams and players are playing so many games as well. This is going to add an extra 2 games to the schedule next year, just as Champions League format. They would expand the Club World Cup format as well, make it into like a proper like actual Club World Cup, not where there's like 6 teams and gets whittled down to 4, and then they just play 2 game whatever.
It goes so fast.
Yeah, well, they want to make it like a legit thing. There's the Euros this summer. So teams are going to be looking for those depth players, right? There's going to be, I think, an impetus to sign, backup options. So it's gonna move and shake a lot, and part of that revenue stuff too is why the Super League is still being bounced around, and why teams want a part of that. They want that guaranteed big money revenue, and that big money revenue, by the way, only comes if the English teams are part of it. It's going to get interesting over the next few years what happens here, and just how much the landscape is going to change, because there's already big money involved. It's only going to grow, and it's going to inevitably get consolidated. And there's going to be some people outside looking in, and there's going to be some big changes for sure. Speaking about the European competition this year, Dom, with what I would say is a pretty big upset in the first game. Lazio beat Bayern. It's the first time Bayern have lost back-to-back games in actual years. No shots on target for them in this game, despite, obviously having Harry Kane in the ranks. They also struggled over the weekend against Bayer Leverkusen. So a little bit of a crisis for Bayern, which I think is always funny, when you consider like just losing 2 games in a row and losing, 1-0 on the road in a Champions League game with a red card. For other teams, it's like, it's not a good day, but for Bayern, this is like historic crisis.
This is the end of the world.
The manager, and Thomas Tuchel's like twerking for Barcelona, trying to fall upward yet again somehow. For Lazio, though, I mean,
huge.
You're going to Munich with a 1-0 advantage. Nothing is guaranteed, and it's actually very likely that Bayern turn this around and advance.
It's like a very just super small cushion, like to help them if they're getting drummed 3-0 and they know that if they can score a goal, like, it's like
they won't. Now this is interesting for Bayern because they won't have Upamecano for the next game because he gets the red card. That might actually be a benefit because he has struggled in some of the bigger games. He has had some very notable highlight-worthy errors over the last few years. But for Lazio, it's interesting because Maurizio Sarri is not really known for his like European success. Obviously that's one of the few trophies that he has won as a manager is Europa League. But it's so strange to me because it felt a little bit like a write-off, and yet Lazio are still making it very interesting as we move forward.
I am enraged. Bayern has me absolutely pissed off. But I'm not going to go into detail why. This is an IRL soccer podcast, so
I know exactly why you're upset.
Yeah.
I know exactly why you're upset, and
I am enraged, man.
I feel what you're saying. I understand.
No.
How about we cheer you up a little bit? We talk about Milan beating Milan today. Big win for the weekend against Napoli as well. Obviously, Napoli struggling. We know that story. But they didn't have Osimhen still, of course, because Nigeria did lose to Ivory Coast in the Africa Cup of Nations final. But Milan, a big win. It's obviously not guaranteed that they're through to the next stage, but this is a huge push towards progressing, as they should. A team of Milan's quality should absolutely be progressing. This is a team that realistically should be in the semifinal. Milan, Liverpool, Leverkusen should be making the semifinals of the Europa League. One of those teams will not make the semifinals. At least one, probably even 2, to be very realistic. It's very likely that they could get matched up earlier than that. Also, we see all the time some of these top teams. Arsenal last year didn't progress through, right? Because sometimes you prioritize different things, and it gets hard to kind of balance out through all the competitions. But for Milan, a big win today. Take a big step towards progressing through. Again, like we said, as they should. But we've seen teams that should be progressing don't, and maybe lose to some lesser competition. But Milan did not allow that today.
Yeah. You make a good point about like potentially like meeting teams like early, because I remember back in like 2018, when like Arsenal and Milan end up meeting each other in the Europa League, and you know, like Milan has nothing to lose, but they still got killed by Arsenal. Like it was a tough one. But what I'm curious to see is where Milan's focus lies. I mean, I don't know if we're going to be talking too much league play right now, like on this podcast, but like Milan is inching ever so closely to Juventus as you know the days go on, and that table is getting pretty interesting. You know, they're 8 points off of Inter, and you know they're looking like they could, with the right results and the right kind of form, which they're looking like they're hitting, could make things get interesting in the league if they stay healthy. Now,
Inter has a game in hand, though, is important to say.
Yeah,
the way Inter
but
been playing.
At least being like competitive with Juventus, finishing above Juventus is always like a big plus. You know, Inter's been playing incredible. They only have one loss. They've only allowed like 12 goals all season. It's pretty hard to catch up to them. An 8-point lead is very comfortable for them. But finishing above Juventus, beautiful. You know. But one of their biggest issues so far is that they've been dealing with a lot of injuries. Players are starting to come back. Kalulu's in training now, right? Reinders is back, and he's kind of getting slowly put back in. I'm liking this Loftus-Cheek at the 10. That was very interesting to see today. Obviously scores a brace. I mean, Milan kind of just popped off today. It was beautiful to see. 4-0, I'm pretty sure, right? Or 3-0, right? Loftus-Cheek with 2, Leao with 1. I can't remember if somebody scored after that or not. I could be wrong. But it's nice to see, you know, Loftus-Cheek is kind of really settling into Milan. 7 goals, I think, in 29 games or something like that. And then Leao getting his first goal of 2024. It took him 2 months, but he's finally got it. Maybe the floodgates start to open for him. The confidence is building.
It's been a month and a half. I mean, it's been a month and a half.
Just he's off the pace of his normal tally. But there's 2 factors that play into that, right? He had an exceptional season last year, so it's kind of hard, you know, to replicate that, obviously. And with Milan kind of signing a lot more quality players, the statistics are kind of spread now. You know what I mean? He doesn't have to do everything. Over the weekend, he had an incredible assist, right, to Teo Hernandez. He's still producing and getting statistics, but you've got Pulisic, you've got Giroud, you've got Jovic, who's in good form right now. Loftus-Cheek, Reinders, like Teo, all these other guys that are getting assists, like Florenzi got an assist in the game today. All of these guys are putting in the work. So obviously you'll see a hit in his numbers, but he's still producing. So I think Milan fans need to take a chill pill on that. Good game though. It makes it real easy for them. A lot of peace of mind. Just hopefully they don't get too comfortable.
Yeah,
You know?
I think for prioritizing them, I think they should prioritize Europa League.
I agree.
They're pretty comfortable where they are in the league. It kind of feels like third is probably where they'll end up, just because they could catch a Juventus, like you said, for sure. But they do have a comfortable lead over 4th and 5th spot, and we talked about that. 5th spot could actually be the Champions League mark. Just seems unlikely, Inter have the game in hand and have the big advantage as it is. It just seems like Inter, we're hitting a stage where once we get into March, especially if they still hold an advantage like that, it's hard to see that as something that could crumble away. Winning a European trophy, big deal, and obviously absolutely guarantees you Champions League, even though I trust Milan will do that on their own. Speaking of needing Champions League, Roma drew Feyenoord today 1-1. Feyenoord struggling through some injuries and some absences today, but Roma obviously too, under kind of new management over the last few weeks has seen them. I hesitate to say turn it around.
I agree.
Because they really haven't. They won 3 straight, right, and they lose over the weekend to Inter in a crazy game though. It just honestly it was very very chaotic all the way around. But Roma, talking about prioritization, right? Because they're only 4 points off of 5th right now, which is Bologna.
Yeah.
You
Listen.
suspect that Europa League could be a path for them. They were in the Europa League final last year, right?
Mhm.
Obviously with Mourinho as manager, but maybe De Rossi, you have a new manager bounce, and maybe they're playing a little better. Who knows? Like I just think it's tough to say. I think they go back to Rome and obviously have the advantage because Feyenoord away fans are also banned for this game, so it's going to be a very loud atmosphere for Roma, which is probably going to make it really funny if they do crash out and Feyenoord is able to go on the road and win. But there's a lot of intrigue there.
By the looks of Roma Twitter, you'd think the second coming of Christ has come down and started managing Rome FC.
Well, you've seen him; he's a beautiful man.
Well, I mean, listen, he's the modern gladiator, in my opinion. That's kind of what I've always seen him as when he was playing. When we were younger, kind of just, he is the gladiator. It's kind of so funny that he plays for Rome too, right? But I mean, obviously he's got them playing better. That game against Inter was very entertaining. Under Mourinho, you probably would have not seen them play like that. It seems like the players are rejuvenated, but guys, y'all gotta take a chill pill, Roma fans. Like, I was talking on Twitter to some people. I was being rather aggressive, but it's like, you guys beat the bottom 3 teams in the league, and you're talking like, oh my God, like, I can't believe this. This is beautiful. Like, those are teams that a team in your position should be beating regardless, right? So, cool. You picked up 9 points. I think it was you picked up 10 points out of a potential 12 of the last 4 games that they had. And, oh my God, like, we're back. Take a chill pill. Lost to Inter. Reality check. Still not a top 4 team. Do you have the pieces that could go on a run and potentially maybe catch up and get 4th place? Who knows? Atalanta's playing incredible right now with the way that De Ketelaere is having, a comeback year, and that Atalanta teams don't kind of just lie down when they're playing well. So it'll be interesting. I think that De Rossi can bring in some what's the word we're looking for? Grinta, but he's still a largely unproven coach. So only time will tell. We'll have to see if they keep up getting results. If they were able to pull a point off Inter, the narrative may be a little more positive in their favor. But, the pieces are there. They just have to perform.
Yeah, I agree. We'll see how they get on and see if they advance. Lukaku yet again, just what a guy. He's obviously it's just truly. He might be the most flat track bully of my lifetime. He scores today, right? Big game. He just does not show up. He just does not show up. It's unbelievable.
And then that one game where he shows up and he'll have this like iconic photo of his celebration, makes like taking off his jersey, standing at the corner flag, saluting the crowd, like, oh shit, did you see what Lukaku? Yeah.
It's honestly, listen, I've spent a weird amount of my time defending Romelu Lukaku, right? I don't know why. He's played for 2 of my least favorite clubs, but I've always felt like, well, he's got some good things about it. Honestly, he is just worn
Not
thin
anymore.
on me. He is just God almighty. Just get this slob off of my screen.
Nothing made me happier when he re-signed for Inter and absolutely just shit the bed. Like, I hated my life the first tenure he had at Inter, and the season he had, and it was just incredible. And then he leaves, doesn't work out for him, comes back from Chelsea, and he's just terrible.
Just truly a special kind of player in terms of his hateability. He's really united a lot of fronts in that way. Let's move to England. Arsenal, City, Liverpool all win over the weekend. So no real meaningful change in the title race there. We'll get a little bit of movement on that because City are making up their game in hand over the next week. They play that rescheduled game against Brentford. So you will have more clarity on that. City will likely be, this time next week, top of the Premier League table, just based off of how they've been playing lately. For Arsenal, it was a emphatic win over West Ham, and
Yes.
I wanted to linger on West Ham a little bit because I'm not sure anyone's having a weirder year than them because they're sitting 8th in the table, which realistically is not a terrible position for them. I think preseason they would have been hoping to obviously, they had a bad domestic season last year, but a great European season. They win a trophy, which they've not done in some time. It's their first European trophy. It's a big accomplishment. But they've had, just to be very frank, some awful games this season, really capped off by this 6-0 loss to Arsenal over the weekend. They lost 2 straight. They've not won since December, when they ironically beat Arsenal.
They allowed 9 goals in 2 games.
Yeah, they lose 3-0 to Manchester United, 6-0 to Arsenal. They dropped out of the FA Cup a few weeks ago. They've just had some really bad results in there, and it sort of felt weird all year with West Ham, where people have been very critical of David Moyes and his future at the club, and it's just a bizarre situation because they're still in Europe, which is meaningful, and they're honestly still in contention to be in European places in the league, and yet it just feels like they're just getting kicked in the teeth. It's such a strange situation at West Ham right now because despite all of that, it's not good. It's no good.
I think they should just, like, West Ham fans should just at least tell themselves, like, hey, at least we're still above Chelsea. Like I mean, they're on level with Newcastle, right? They're starting to fall a little bit behind United because of that loss 2 weeks ago. So they're kind of in a spot where they're in danger of maybe dropping two places, and they'll end up in 10th. Or, they kind of keep this solid type of place in the league. Some days they're good, some days they're shit, It's Malakia, Matt. It's Malakia.
Yeah, I think, if you had said to a West Ham fan before the year, you're going to be above Brighton and level on points with Newcastle, everyone's taking that deal.
Yeah, that's like a success. Yeah, that's a success. Yeah.
And that's Europa, just what's so strange about it is in a lot of ways, materially, this year has been a success so far for them. We'll see how obviously the last 2 months go, but like context and experiential has been bad.
when Liverpool, City, and Arsenal are playing as good as they are, Tottenham's having like a revival of a season, and Villa are one of the hottest teams in the league that isn't in a Champions League spot. Like United and Newcastle, all right, United's like up and down, right? They're in some good form right now. Newcastle, same thing, they're up and down. For West Ham to be in that up and down group is like you said, like that's still good. They're still doing well, especially with the way that this top 4 is put together. I don't know if any other team is catching them. Like Villa can kind of make it interesting, but like it's especially the top 3, they're going to run away. They're not. I don't think anybody's going to touch them. Tottenham is 5 points behind, like Arsenal. No, it is what it is.
Tottenham is getting healthy at least. That's obviously been an issue for them all year. Is they just have not had some of their best players available, and this team's going to be healthy for the first time since the beginning of the season when they were at the top of the league and were kind of the story of the year. Remember that like early September when Spurs were amazing and
James Madison player of the month.
They could do no wrong, and it was just no one could get enough of Ange Postecoglou. I mean, they're sitting in 4th and everything's looking good, but it's hard to say that. I wanted to talk a little bit about West Ham and how weird it has been. I think we might have had a slight technical issue. Might be because producer Kyle is in a hotel in Virginia at the moment, so
we hit the multiverse real quick. You were me, and I was you.
The hotel Wi-Fi might have been unkind to him in that moment, but it's probably fine. I trust in him; he's a professional. He'll have it sorted out and running. Last story from England: Sheffield, a big win over Luton. It doesn't do all that much for Sheffield, if I'm being honest and fair. They still sit bottom of the Premier League table. I think it's a bigger story for Luton in that, they've. I struggle to say that they've been playing better. They have been playing better, but better from where they were is not a huge reach, not a huge improvement. But they had won some games in the league. Still in the cup as well and progressing. They had a pretty crazy game against Newcastle as well, where the way that finished 4-4.
Mm-hmm.
And it felt like maybe we're building a little bit. They blew away Brighton 4-0, which was honestly a shocking result a few weeks ago. But this one, Sheffield, who have struggled all year, right, and have not been able to really get out of the basement. It doesn't seem like they're going to. Them and Burnley both just seem like they are going down. Where this changes is, I think, Everton right now would be getting relegated. Luton do have a game in hand, which is important to note. But Everton, we don't know, as well as with Nottingham Forest, we don't know with points deduction what's going to happen there. Everton are appealing both of their points deductions. They've yet to have a ruling on the one that them and Nottingham Forest have both been charged for. Unclear exactly when we're going to get that, but right now 5 points separates 18th and 15th, and then really you could say 6 points all the way to Brentford sitting in 14th. You have Brentford, Crystal Palace, Nottingham Forest, Luton Town, Everton. One of those teams is getting relegated. If I had to say right now, it's probably Luton, but knowing, just based off quality of play, knowing that there could be further points deductions, I would be worried about Nottingham Forest and their performances. They did get Tawe Elneny back. That's meaningful.
He scored too, didn't he?
Over this past game?
Yeah.
He did not. He had I remember seeing. I was in and out on this game. He a ball over the top. It kind of looked like
he was offside, wasn't he?
He had an offside one. He had a ball over the top too that he kind of was trying to get onto and just never really got his feet under him. And it might have been a penalty. Tough to say. But yeah, Nottingham Forest, I think I've not seen enough. It's going to come down to a lot as well, as it always does, as just what your run-in looks like, what tough home games you end up with. I will say Nottingham Forest have a not so easy end-of-season schedule. Crucially, and I mean this could really matter, Nottingham Forest do play, though, the final 3 games. They play Sheffield United, Chelsea, and Burnley. So 3 other teams that are in the relegation fight. And you didn't laugh. That's okay.
Wait, what? Did something just go over my head?
Said Sheffield United, Chelsea, and Burnley. 3 other teams in the relegation fight, but that's fine. It's okay. Thank you for your pity laugh.
Sorry. I zoned out for a second. I'm sorry.
Sheffield United, Burnley on the last day. Those could genuinely be for relegation. It's likely Burnley could probably be already confirmed relegated at that point, and maybe even Sheffield United. But those could be big games. I mean, those could legitimately be for your life in the Premier League. They also play Everton 2 weeks before. So their last 5 games, they're going to be playing a lot of the teams surrounding them. Maybe the Everton game, whoever wins that, there has to be a declared winner. It'll go to a penalty shootout. Whoever wins sheds their point deduction. Maybe that's how we really make it extra interesting.
That is when it's the most exciting time of the year, especially if there's a race at the top and the bottom of the table. Nobody cares about the mid-table teams. You care about the relegation fight, and you care about who's getting into the European spots. Like in, let's say, 5 weeks' time, in a month and a half, nobody's going to care about what Chelsea's doing. Nobody's going to care about, what these mid-table, what Crystal Palace is doing. They're going to be like, oh, well, they're safe. They're going to be here next year. All right, let's go look at Luton Everton. Let's go watch this game. Let's go tune into to whatever Arsenal's doing and to whatever City's doing, whatever Liverpool's doing. It's interesting, man. How confident are you of Liverpool at the top of the table right now? Well, I don't know why I expected anything less.
No, well, so here's the thing. Here's the real thing. Here's what's giving me hope is Liverpool have struggled with injuries over the last whole season, but especially over the last month and a half.
Uh-huh.
They're getting some people back healthy. Salah's supposed to be back within the next week or so. Of course, Trent Alexander re-aggravates a knee injury, is going to miss the League Cup final, which sucks because we just started getting him back, and he's obviously really important to the how we play offensively. We've still been able to score goals despite not having what I think is still one of the best players, if not the best player in the league, in Salah. And the problem that I've had with Liverpool all season is defensively, it's been a little bit of a worry. And sometimes in that midfield, this team has been a little too easy, and they had not performed well in the big games. They lose to Arsenal. That was a really bad performance. I'm not even going to blame it on the injuries. They just did not play well that day. They have not really played well in a lot of the big games. They're going to have to win a big game. They're very frankly, and it's a big advantage because, I've been scarred over the last few title races against teams like Manchester City, where we've had to play them away for kind of the big game in March or April. We get them at home. That is a huge advantage. And honestly, that game will decide the title to me in a lot of ways. Because I think if Liverpool are able to win that, I'll have a lot of faith. And I really think they can. My worry is that they're really being overextended. You saw it in the Arsenal game. Teams that have good experience, good pressing, good strategies like that, it's going to get tough for them because they're really overextended. They have a League Cup final. They're still in the FA Cup. Europa League's going to be back in a few weeks. It's a lot. It's going to be a lot to ask. Of course, Manchester City and Arsenal are also going to have big commitments like that. If we get to mid to late March and Liverpool are top of the table or within 2 points, I'm in. I'm in. But honestly, these next few weeks are really, really going to be very, very important. They play Brentford this weekend. Always kind of a tough team for Liverpool. I think this might be one of these years where we really regret some of the early season results. We're really going to regret the fact that Spurs game and what an absolute colossal mistake that was, and that that goal gets taken away from them. That could legitimately decide the title, and that would suck. That would honestly hurt. The biggest overarching thing is I firmly believe this. Klopp's leaving at the end of the year.
Yep.
What better way for Klopp to leave than leave as a champion? With that said, because this is Liverpool, and since we know that, I know that there is tremendous heartbreak along this path. There's probably going to be another Stevie G slip moment over the next 2.5 months. And I'm going to have to watch it. And I know, I'm telling you right now, in here, I feel it. Every morning I wake up, I feel a weight on my chest, knowing I'm waiting for the shoe to drop. I'm waiting for the crushing moment, the absolute disaster that is just lurking in the shadows. I don't know what's going to happen. I just know something is going to happen that is going to make us lose this title. Can it get worse than City leading a dramatic comeback on the final day of the season as Steven Gerrard's Aston Villa almost beat them and helped us win a title? I don't know. I guess we'll find out. I guess we'll find out.
A little parallel to American football. You sound like an Eagles fan, dude. You sound like an Eagles fan this past season. Oh, it's Jason Kelsey's last season. I don't think he's going to come back. He wants to win a Super Bowl. We were just there. Oh my God. We're 10-3. Let's go.
I've never hyped up Liverpool this year. I have been very calm on them. I've been
so very was I. I was very calm and level-headed with the Eagles. I was like, all right, guys, like we're good. Like we're good, but like
I'm telling you, the Klopp narrative of him leaving at the end of the year is I'm telling you, man, it's gonna be something bad, something real. But I would say I'm ready, but I'm not. I know something is waiting for me.
Arsenal's starting to hit form too. You think that they have a legitimate shot?
Jesus, this whole 2024. Yeah, I mean, defensive. The best defensive team in England at the moment, and you're starting to figure it out on the attacking end as well. Despite the fact that they don't have a real established striker to score goals.
I like that they're using a false nine. Like Trossard has kind of stepped in as that role like pretty well.
Yeah, definitely. I honestly, any three of these could win the title. City and Arsenal also play. That's going to be a big one to watch, of course. So, there's going to be opportunities for all these teams. So, just like looking like far ahead, March 10th is when Liverpool and City play. That's
Big game.
That's a circular calendar game. March 31st, Manchester City home for Arsenal. That is a big day. And Aston Villa the next weekend for Manchester City. I think that would also be, if City were to progress to the Champions League, that I think that would be the quarterfinals, I believe, of the Champions League, like midweek. So that's a tough week if you're City. Going for Arsenal, a midweek Champions League game, and Aston Villa.
Aston Villa game sounds like a trap game at that point in the year for City.
Yeah. And I should mention the other thing, working against Liverpool, by the way. We faced Wolves on the last day. That has been a bad omen for us. There's been a bad omen for us. There's been a lot of really sad 2-0 wins over Wolves over the last few years. So that's another one that's – I'm telling you, man, I'm looking at the tea leaves. I'm like, fuck.
You're looking at the script? What do you have, the script in front of you or something? Like,
hey, listen, you know the rhythms, okay? It's like there's people that are really in touch with the planet and really in touch with the environment. It's like I can put my hand in the ground and sense that something's coming. Could be good, but it's probably bad.
I get it, man. Sine and cosine graphs, they're periodic. You can kind of tell what's gonna happen. It's the same thing, right?
Totally.
You get these waves.
Those sine and cosine graphs, man. That's crazy. Really crazy. Just looking ahead at this weekend, what we have to look forward to. Chelsea City. I mean, this used to mean something. Honestly, it just doesn't. It just doesn't anymore. Although that was a great game a few weeks ago, more months ago at this point. It was 4-4, that draw. It was a pretty nuts game. So maybe we get something like that again.
Who cares about Chelsea?
Crystal Palace versus Everton. That's obviously meaningful for relegation race and your life in the Premier League. For the title race, Man City play Chelsea, like I mentioned. Liverpool play Brentford. Arsenal get Burnley. So you expect the Arsenal should be picking up points again this weekend. As far as SerieA goes, Inter are going to face Salernitana, bottom of the table there. Fiorentina versus Empoli, a little Toscana derby there. Frosinone against Roma. Who else do we got? No real big action. Bologna against Lazio.
Frosinone, isn't that the same region that Rome is in? Or is Frosinone near Turin?
We're about to find out. Frosinone is
Emilia-Romagna,
it's in
right?
Lazio.
We're in Lazio, yeah.
It's 47
Boom,
miles.
provincial derby right there. That's the big game.
Yeah, part of me always thought
two provincial teams battling it out. I see it. I love it.
Yeah. Sorry, my son is really acting up. That's all we got. Get some interesting games coming up. It kind of sucks. We have Champions League next week. Champions League just doesn't get resolved for another few weeks. So it's like, it always just feels like you get these first games and then you get excitement. And then it's like, they don't play again for 3 weeks. It's like kind of bums you out a little bit, but done. We'll talk next time.
Mm-hmm.
Wrap this up.
Mm-hmm.
TTYS. Talk to you soon.
Yeah. There we go.
Can you tell I'm struggling to sign this one off?
Hey, listen, if you haven't already and you're watching on YouTube, make sure you make sure you comment down below. Make sure that you throw us a subscription. Subscribe to the channel. Make sure you hit the little bell for all the notifications when we post so you don't miss a weekly episode. Put in the comments this week what you look forward to most. Cameos from Matt's cat or the can fizz at the beginning of every pod. Let us know.
I don't think you did that today, though.
Yes, I did.
I gotta be honest.
There's still a little bit more in here,
I
actually.
already forgot.
A little bit.
Yeah.
Remember,
This
YouTube,
this sweet face or that ogre opening.
Oh! Don't make me get my dog on you.
Yeah, okay. You're not taking that thing off the shelf. You're too scared. You drop that thing, it turns into a million pieces again.
That's not a Lego one. That's one of the ones where you have the little locks, the little pins, and you lock them into place. Dude, that thing took hours.
It's cheating, but yeah, okay. That's cowardice.
Crazy. It's so many blocks, dude.
Well, we left as we came in, talking about something completely irrelevant. So we'll talk.
See you later, YouTube.